Hi everyone, I'm GREYMOND. Today I'm continuing to answer the questions about OCD recovery. These are the questions that you left below my video saying ask questions about OCD. First question is, hi Ali, please tell if eating chocolate and smoking cigarettes influence OCD thoughts. Well, in terms of it can have a catastrophic influence, no. But in terms of affecting brain chemistry, yes. So I mean, suggest doing things as naturally as possible and trying to normalize, obviously, brain chemistry. Um, all of these things. If you're eating sugar, or if you're drinking coffee or caffeine drinks, cigarettes to a lesser extent, but still, you know all of these things have an effect, just like stress has an effect, just like sleep has an effect on OCD recovery, right? So altogether they create a big issue, but each individual one does not. So I think in moderation, you should be okay. The other thing is, you also don't want to be too preoccupied with this question, because if you start to really worry about things affecting OCD recovery and you start to avoid things and all of that, that can definitely become a compulsion all on its own. So you have to kind of be careful and not get too far deep into the research. Just give yourself enough rest, sleep, meditate. If you can't sleep at night, take a nap in the daytime. Try to eat as naturally as possible. Alkalize your body, because when you are stressed, your body becomes very acidic, and you're stressed all the time. So try to eat more healthy foods as much as possible, unprocessed natural foods. You don't have to keep to a rigid schedule, because rigidity in OCD is never a good thing. But you do want to help your mind, help your body as much as possible, in any way you can, really, right? Next question is, Hallie, I was wondering if you could help me. I listened to you for a long time, and I don't seem to be moving from a spot. How do I break the fear which is holding me down? Just how? Thank you for everything that you do. You are very welcome. In terms of the fear, I think you're trying to probably take a bigger bite that you can chew. Try to break down ERP that you're trying to do, because I'm assuming you're trying to do ERP and you can't move forward because of the fear. So try to break that ERP down into much smaller portions, where maybe you are doing the compulsion, but you're not doing it to 100% extent. You're doing it to a lesser extent. So you're still doing the compulsion, but just much less. That might help, because you don't want to push yourself to a 10 when you're doing exposures, right? And if you're already at a 10 when you start, you can only maybe nudge yourself a little further, because that's probably all the room you have. So start with that, and don't worry about not being fully successful on the first day. Even if you fully fail, the first few times, it really doesn't matter, because as you keep going, as long as you keep trying, you will succeed. So it might not take just the one time of trying, but it might take a lot of tries. But usually when clients come to me and they have this issue, usually it's because they're thinking in an all or nothing way, and that's what's creating the problems. Next question is, the question is, I have P or O for harm OCD. My anxiety is going down. I can feel myself again. I'm not afraid of the theme anymore, but sometimes I'm afraid to myself, like I cannot trust myself, worry how if I'm really capable of hurting someone. Is this normal? I always not put attention on the thought, but this scared myself. Is it normal in the recovery process? Yes, but I think what is happening is your theme is switching from whatever your harm OCD was before to the capability of hurting someone. So say if you had, say, I don't know, like false memory OCD, what if I already hurt someone, or what if I'm gonna hurt someone right now, right? So you're kind of avoiding knives or whatever. I'm not sure what your situation is, but I'm just giving you an example. So whatever your thing was before, now your new theme, it looks like, is, am I, in theory, capable of hurting someone? And I can tell you that in theory, anybody can do anything. So try to say it that way. Then whatever, OCD moving forward, do not give in to these thoughts. Do not try to analyze, So the more you put it, like you're saying, I always try not to put attention to the thought. It is normal. Continue not to put attention to the thought. Anybody can have a thought. Anybody, like people without OCD can have the same thoughts as people with OCD. So do not get into the analyzing stage of it. Just look at it that, yeah, OCD is telling me something, so what? I don't need to react. Next question is, can OCD come in waves? Like 1 minute you feel great and the next you're on the verge of a panic attack. Also, is it normal to feel good almost immediately? I worry I don't have OCD if I'm able to start feeling good in recovery. No, it comes in waves, and if you go through the wave and you don't give in to the thoughts, it can go from feeling like this thought will never go away to, oh, it just went away very, very quickly. And that's normal. And then it gets replaced with another thought. So that's kind of the cycle. But as you are refusing and as you are training your brain that these thoughts are no longer relevant, the thoughts will start to go away permanently. So they'll come in less and less and less, and then eventually will just fade away entirely. But it's a process. Like I say, we're looking at about 6 months of good, solid work. And as another thing I wanted to mention about the work is that as you are going through the process of recovery, in the beginning, it's obvious what you're doing wrong, because, okay, I'm doing compulsion here, I'm doing compulsion here, but towards the end, there's a lot of nuance I see. Quite a bit of the time I see this, right, that there's a nuance, and you have to really examine, well, okay, I know I'm not feeding this in any big way anymore, but am I feeding it in some little way? Let's see if I'm ever giving in the fear throughout the course of the day. So you can't be obsessive about it, but also you have to eliminate taking these thoughts seriously in every possible situation. So, and that will fully make them go away. But for now, what you're describing is actually very, very normal. So try to see in what situation do the spikes come in, these strong spikes. Is it when you're stressed? Is it right after the stress? Is it in the morning? Is it in a certain situation? And then work to resolve that. So if it's in a certain trigger or because of a certain trigger, you need to do exposures for the trigger, right? If it's when you're stressed, you need to reduce the stress. If it's, say, for example, in the morning, for a lot of people, thoughts come in early in the morning. If that's the case, don't allow yourself to lay there and analyze. That's the worst you can do. When I had OCD, and in the morning, it would hit me like a ton of bricks, and I was just not able to function at all, So the best thing to do is just to get up, start the day. You will see it will go away, just like you're saying, right? It's like you're on the verge of a panic attack. You should analyze, you should do this, you should do that. No, I'm not doing it. And then you could see that 15 minutes later it's gone. So that's normal, and that's how recovery is. If you were doing the wrong things, OCD would be there 24/7. You wouldn't get these breaks. So you are doing something right. So whatever you're doing right, however you're responding in the right way, meaning not without reaction, but the whole thing, how you're responding, right? Really keep going with that, because clearly it's having an effect. And then now you have to increase that effect. Next question is, hi Ali, I'm doing ERP for 2 months. I'm facing hyper-awareness in my left leg. My mind is stuck with my leg and I can't detach. As a result, I'm uncomfortable in walking and feel pain in my knee. ERP for this, I don't understand. Can you help me out in structuring ERP for this? This seems so bad. Thank you. So first of all, this is called sensory motor OCD. Very common. A person can feel physical pain. Completely normal for this type of OCD. So when you're walking, the walking is the exposure, and the analyzing is the exposure. So exposing yourself to the thought and the feeling of the pain obviously is an exposure as well. So in all of these situations, you have to look at the pain, even though it's a physical thing, you have to look at the pain as just part of OCD. It means nothing, just part of OCD, just a symptom, I'm moving on. Believe me, I've heard this enough times to tell you for sure that OCD can have physical pain, physical symptoms of different, not just pain, but different kinds of physical symptoms, you know? So this is not unique. You're not the only one in this situation, but you have to get out of the situation, you have to start looking at the pain as OCD. And you know how people say OCD feels very real all the time. Well, this is part of that. So a person can have feelings attached to it, like feelings of guilt, feelings of shame. The person can have physical sensations. I've had people, I've had many people say that they feel pain. I've had people have sensations in their stomach, right, because of the anxiety, right? So, but this is not because of the anxiety. This is just plainly OCD. So the more you're focusing on it, the more you feel it, you know? So walking, doing things as you normally would do, not making any kind of adjustments because of this, would be exposure work. So if you, about the doctors, obviously when you feel physical pain, first you go see a doctor. So go see the doctor. If you've already seen the doctor, then you have to say, okay, I've seen the doctor already. I can't do this, continue to go down this rabbit hole, right? Most people who come to me have already seen quite a few doctors, so I'm kind of assuming that that's the case, you know. But so you have to look at it that there's no reason for me to worry. I'm moving on, right, after the doctor. Next question is, in recovery when the thoughts keep switching, similar thought but different detail, how do you know that these are still OCD if I don't look into the details and ignore? Also, I wanted to say, Ali, thank you. I've been using your app to help me. I use the OCD test every time I get a thought, and I highly recommend to anyone. So, okay, so the thoughts keep switching, but they're switching because you're not reacting, which is good. You should not be reacting. And this is normal, that if one thought goes away, it's immediately replaced with another one. The fact that they're switching a lot actually shows that you are fighting really well, and that the brain is really trying to reach to find something, and it just goes from detail to detail. This is literally classic what I see all the time, you know, with everybody. That's how it was with me. That's how it is with most of my clients. So you just have to say, whatever, so what, send me all the details, I don't care, OCD disregarding, and really stick to that, right? So you can say disregarding, but you can't just talk the talk, you have to walk the walk, right? So disregarding, I'm doing this instead, and this is your real life stuff, right? So you're switching your attention constantly, and sometimes it could be every minute you're switching your attention, and that's okay. As you go, you will see that it starts to get better, you know? Next question is, hi Ali, thank you so much for your videos. Could you tell how to do ERP for real event OCD? I just try to ignore OCD thoughts about real past event, and they leave my mind. But sooner or later, another thought about another real past event come. How can I stop this circle? So usually, I'm assuming that all of these past events have some sort of a core theme that's similar, and it is kind of like the previous question, because this is what I see a lot, and it's similar also to the previous question where the person says it goes from one detail to another. Well, in this situation, it goes from one past event thought to another, and it just switches. And when it switches to the new one, the old one doesn't seem so important, while before the old one seemed overwhelmingly important, right? So you just have to say, whatever, OCD, send me all the past event thoughts, go ahead, let's hear them all, you know, and invite them to come in. Don't be scared of them, because the more you're scared of them, the worse things get, you know. If you say, I don't care, send me all of them, what can you do? Okay, it's going to send you a few, and then that's it, you know. right? It's like it kind of runs out of material because you're not powering it up. And when I say that's it, I don't mean like the same day. It might take a few months, but it will, it will cycle through it and then, come back to it, then let go and all of those things, right? But it starts to lose power, and you will see that even though the thoughts are cycling a lot, the general level of anxiety to all of the thoughts is quite low. So that's also how you know that you're healing, because in an ideal situation for OCD, you would just have one thought, you would be completely obsessed, completely worried about it, not switching or one specific detail of the thought, like for previous questions I'm answering, right? And you just stay on it and you don't move from that thought. That's the ideal situation. And then the brain doesn't have to come up with anything else because you're already protecting yourself from this danger kind of thing. That's how the brain is viewing it. So you just have to say, okay, nice try, I'm not buying it, moving on. And if the cycle is continuing with many thoughts, that's okay. That's actually a good thing. That's the end of today's video. If you haven't subscribed yet to this channel, please subscribe. If you would like to leave a question, please leave it in the ask a question about OCD comment section. If you would like to do one-on-one recovery program with me, all the information is on youhaveocd.com, and I will see you tomorrow.